literally giving the reason why Jews around the world support Israel.
Okay, can I respond to what you said already? Very quickly. Okay.
I don't, to be honest.
Just finish this point and then you...
I'm
Yeah, go ahead.
Very, very
go ahead.
difficult with-
Please go ahead. Please go ahead.
Your co-religionist heckling me.
Yeah, no problem. Go. Don't heckle him, please. Don't let Joseph say that we're not going to let him speak. We will let him speak.
Okay, thank you.
Inshallah.
By the way, he's not Jewish. He's a Zionist.
Continue, Joseph. Why? I mean, this is the park. People are going
Why
to...
you finding him like an excuse? Continue, man.
Okay. So, the only place that Jews have any claim to on this earth is Israel. We have no claim to Uganda. We have no claim to New York. We have no claim to London. We became a nation in Israel. We existed as a state for almost 1,500 years. We are indigenous to that land. Now, most Jews believe because of the persecution that we face, we can no longer live outside of Israel. We need a place of refuge.
Okay.
There were many Muslims who saved us, there were many Christians who saved us throughout history, but we cannot depend on others to come to our rescue. We need to be able to defend ourselves.
Okay.
And for that reason, Jews need a state, and the only place on this earth we have a claim to a state is Israel. Now that should not come at the expense of any other people.
Okay. Can I respond?
Please.
We have no problem with the Jewish people living in security. Under security. I mean, when I say insecurity, it sounds like insecurity, right? So under security. We want the Jewish people to be secure. We, when I say we, I talk for the Muslim civilization, okay? You can call me a self-appointed spokesperson, no problem. I have no problem with that. But I will try to give you the evidence why I believe so. The Muslim civilization protected the Jewish people for over 1,000 years. This is why Zionists cannot make stories up and start claiming that the Jewish people were in danger. They were being brutalized around the world. Therefore, we came and we drove out the Palestinians from their homes. We occupied their land forcefully and started killing their women and children and men and elderly. And because we were being oppressed, we were being driven out from everywhere. We're going to do the same to another people. We're going to go and take all that land. Okay, this logic is the Zionist logic. That's why it's evil. That's why it cannot be supported and celebrated. This is why I equate this ideology with ISIS. They are very similar. Zionists and ISIS are very similar. The only difference is the Zionists are very organized. They have a state. They have Western backing. They have very powerful weapons. ISIS doesn't have that. ISIS doesn't have that, right? ISIS doesn't have the channels. ISIS doesn't have the wait. No, you're doing the same thing the guy was doing, yeah? Okay. So let me clarify. We as Muslims or the Muslim civilization never had a problem with the Jewish people. As a whole, as a community, as an entity. For over 1,000 years, the Jewish people lived in Muslim lands. In fact, some Jewish scholars like Jacob Lesner, they believe and claim that the majority of the Jewish people were living within the domain of Islam for over 1,000 years. Why? Why is the question? Because they were protected. They were celebrated. They became very prosperous. They worked on their religion. They were conducting business. They were physicians, scientists, philosophers, poets. And they were the top brass of the Muslim community. In fact, some of them were prime ministers to Muslim sultans. One of them was in Spain, Hazda ibn Shaprut, albeit an exception, no doubt, an exception. But we had examples like that. So when we had Jewish people living with us, what changed in the 1940s all of a sudden? What changed? Why did all the Jewish people started to leave from Morocco to Yemen and they started to quickly rush to Israel? Why? Because of what the Zionist movement was doing in the land of Palestine. You see, ISIS, when they started to do atrocities around the world, what happened to the Muslim community around the world? Muslim community became very agitated. We had to come out and explain that these guys, they have nothing to do with us. They don't represent us. We have a civilization to talk about. We have scientists, philosophers, poets, scholars, People have forgotten them, right? So we had to come out and clarify our position because this ideology called ISIS was committing atrocities. Just like that, the Jewish people became very agitated. They had a very peaceful situation in the Muslim lands. Suddenly an extremist group, an atheistic, secular extremist group called the Zionists come to power in Palestine, and they start committing atrocities. They start killing Palestinians, and then the Muslim masses become very agitated too. So the Jewish people, fearing for their lives, for the first time in the last 1,300 years, for the first time, mass migration of the Jewish people to the land of Palestine. Now show me an example of, how do I prove my case? I will ask Joseph, show me an example of Jewish mass migration. Listen to my question carefully. Is everyone listening to me? Is everyone listening to me?
Yes.
My question is very specific. Show me an example of a mass migration of the Jewish people from one land to another land due to Muslim persecution. One example in the last 1,300 years. It only happened in the 1940s. And who did it? The Zionists, not the Muslims. Over to you.
Okay, so that was a long time. Nobody interrupted him. Nobody heckled him. Hopefully the crowd will give me the same courtesy. I want one person heckled, sorry. So you went through a few points. I captured them just because my memory isn't what it used to be. So the first thing I'm going to address is the very first thing he brought up, which is that Adnan wants Jews to live under Islam and be protected by Islam. You literally on camera this is what you said. You want Jews to live under us in security were the words you used.
You want me to respond?
No, you can respond when it's your turn.
Okay. But that's not true. I didn't say that.
Okay.
Well, you're making... Did I say that? Okay. Everyone's saying I didn't say that.
Okay. You said explicitly on camera, and we can go back, that Islam protected Jews and offered the Jews...
That doesn't mean that I want the Jewish people to live under Islam and being protected by Islam.
Okay, again, I didn't interrupt you.
Yeah.
So, and you said you said almost everything that left your mouth I disagreed with, and I bit my tongue.
No, but don't misquote me in front of me. Have some courtesy.
We can go back and people can watch what was said at the beginning. Maybe I'm slightly mixing up the words you said, but the basic essence was Islam, while the Jews were under Islam, were protected, and he wants Jews to go on being protected by Islam, was the basic essence. And from a Jewish perspective, we're like, no thanks, mate. We've had your protection before. Sometimes it was good. Other times you put us to the sword. Other times you ethnically cleansed us. And I'll give some examples of mass migration, or what we would call ethnic cleansing. So either where we were forced out or we fled. I'll give examples of both.
Okay.
So
mass migration, you said you're going to give me examples.
Adnan.
Mass migration,
Adnan, hold your tongue. You'll get a turn to speak. You spoke for a long time. I know you like the sound of your voice, but please let me speak. So, Islamic and Jewish history is one of good caliph protected the Jews, bad caliph persecuted the Jews. The first people to make Jews wear yellow clothing, to single them out, to persecute them, was actually the Abbasids. The Abbasids persecuted Jews.
Continue, I'm not going to... Yeah.
The Almohads persecuted Jews. Hundreds of thousands of Jews fled Al-Andalus when the Almohads, and North Africa, when the Almohads seized power. And the Jews fled. They're in Yemen, you had examples. In Iraq, you had examples. Umar himself ethnically cleansed the Jews of the Hijaz. So Islamic history is one of both good and bad relations with the Jews. Now for the Jewish people, we appreciated when there was a Christian king like Kashmir in Poland, or a Muslim ruler like the numerous Islamic rulers that protected the Jews. We are grateful for that. But what we don't want is to be dependent on the whims of whichever caliph is ruling over the caliphate at that time, because some of them persecuted us excessively. And so for the first time in history, Jews have a safe haven where we're not first time in history, for the first time in 2,000 years, we have the opportunity to protect ourselves. So historically, if we were persecuted by Muslims, we'd have to either flee to Muslim or Christian countries. Today, we can flee to the Jewish country. And I have complete faith that my brothers in Israel are more likely to protect me than Adnan's brothers in whichever Muslim state we're talking about.
Okay.
And so,
Yeah.
and so,
And Israel buys are protected.
and so, your donkey, your hammer.
No. I'm about to speak. I'm about to speak.
Why you asking?
Yeah.
You stop it.
Okay, I'm about to speak.
This liar.
Okay, he's finished now. Can I speak?
Only la ilaha illallah Muhammad Rasulullah.
Okay, thank you. So now my response. Joseph.
Go to hell. If I go there,
Please
see your
ignore.
dentist.
Please ignore. Okay. So Joseph, he made many points. What Joseph does in almost every single discussion, we call it in debating terms, we call it machine gun tactics. Okay. What happens is you basically empty a magazine. You empty a magazine on your opponent and expect him to respond to you in 3 minutes, right, with all those bullets he has fired. That's why I'm very meticulous in debates. I like to address topics one by one, systematically. Each and every single point he raised can be shredded, dismantled, conclusively. For example, I'll give you a few examples he mentioned. Al-Mohads. Why do I believe people like Joseph are spin doctors and they are not sincere? He's disingenuous. I'm saying that to his face. I'm saying that to your face. Because he knows the response. What is the response? Al-Mohads, I will tell you, definitely persecuted Muslims, Christians, and Jews. They did not single out the Jewish people. Almohads, when they came to power in Spain in the 12th century CE, they persecuted all people in Spain. They went for everyone, right? So what happens? Jewish people, some of them, they start to leave. Now, Joseph tells you half the story, and even that half, partially, not the complete half, partially. Even that half is partial. He focuses on the Jewish people, right? Now, this is why it's so important to know your history, my brothers and sisters, right? So Almohads, they persecute almost everyone. They are an extremist group. They have been called so in our history. The Muslim historians are writing, these people had lost the plot. They had lost the plot. Just like Muslim scholars today in the world are saying ISIS have lost the plot. They don't represent us. They are your product. They are a product of your war you waged on Iraq, and they are a reaction to your, they have more in common with you, those who are fighting ISIS, than us, the Muslim community around the world from Morocco to Bangladesh. So what happened with Almohads? They come in, they persecute some Jewish people. The Jewish people they are persecuting, they leave. He's right, they leave. Now when they leave, where do they go? Where do they go? Guess where do they go? No. Where do they go? Who knows? Morocco was...
It's a good example.
Morocco was under Almohads. They went to Egypt. They went to Egypt. Now, who was ruling Egypt? Salahuddin. Thank you. Joseph, amazingly. Wait. Now, amazingly, he knows, but doesn't mention it. This is what I call CNN, Fox News, NBC put together in one man. Okay? Right? So they deliberately hide this information because it's going to... So what happens to these Jewish people? One of them is their famous rabbi, Musa bin Maimonides. He's one of those Spanish Jews who found refuge in Egypt. Why didn't these Jews go to the north, to the Christian states?
Many of them did.
No, they did not. You don't know. They got banished. They got banished from the English king, Edward I, banished the entire Jewish community. So did the French king, Philip. Later on, they drove all the Jewish people. Where did they go? They went to the Muslim lands, right? Now. So what people like Joseph do, okay, and then what happens to Maimonides and people like him in Egypt? Are they given the brooms and the brushes to go and clean the streets? You bunch of barbarians, you've come from Spain. Actually, because they were so civilized and educated, and the elite of the Spanish Muslim society, the Jewish people, who were walking around in Islamic dress code, with turbans, speaking eloquent Arabic, uttering Arabic poetry. The Jewish rabbis of Spain, what happens to them in Egypt? They are given high posts. In fact, Maimonides himself, who later on lied to the Yemeni Jews about his situation, okay, who himself was a liar, outright liar. Maimonides, Musa bin Maimun, was a liar. And I will show you why he was a liar, okay? There are many, that's another topic in itself.
Adnan, they can all watch the debate where I absolutely
humiliated me,
you on that part.
like you are today, no problem. Okay, so Maimonides, he went to Egypt and he becomes what? The physician of the Sultan, the brother of Salah ad-Din. He becomes his private personal physician. What kind of persecution is this? It's like some Muslims leave Iraq, okay, as refugees. They come to Britain, and then Boris Johnson takes one of them as his private physician. We haven't seen that happen to date. That hasn't happened to date. All of these Iraqis and Syrian refugees are being basically, how they're being treated in all these countries at the borders. What's happening to them in Italy and Greece and Poland and Hungary. Go and see these refugees, see what's happening to them. Okay, Muslims didn't do that to the Jewish people. Okay, wherever they went, right? These Zionists, they have to make up stories for a reason to substantiate the evil ideology, to argue that the Jewish people as a whole, their lives are in danger. Therefore, we need the state of Israel.
Okay.
We need to occupy this land and drive out the Palestinians, brutally kill them off, okay, kill the children and women so that we can be protected. This is a lie. The Jewish people, and then what? Last point. So that I want to be fair. Last point, because I can go on and on and on. Joseph, he's threw so many bullets at me that I'm trying to now, deal with the fatal ones. The ones that are close to my heart. Okay, the arms, the legs, no problem. I'll just let them go. Okay, so he jumped from the Abbasids to what? What?
No,
he jumped. Yeah, he jumped from Abbasids to what? Do you remember? Are you all listening? To Almohads. Remember that? Do you remember that? He mentioned the Abbasids and he hopped few centuries forward to Almohads. My question is, why do Zionists have to do that? Why do they jump from centuries to another century? From a dynasty to another dynasty? And what do they point to? Exceptions where some Jewish people did receive maltreatment. Absolutely. I'm going to tell you where there are cases of Jewish people being maltreated due to political and other circumstances, right? Something happened. But the general pattern of the Muslim civilization towards the Jewish people, he talked about Umar, then he went to the Abbasids, and then he went to Almohads. This is what they do. If I start doing that about Israel for the last 70 years, Joseph, your hair will become white. You'll become an old man.
I think because the list,
because
my hair will become white.
Yeah, they're already white. Okay, the list of Israel's atrocities against Palestinians are so long that if I start naming every single person who was killed, okay, we won't finish today, right? Okay, how many people have Israel killed in the last 70 years? Do you know?
Can you finish?
Do you know?
Baha'is have been killed for 200 years, slaughtered by the Muslims, slaughtered by the fanatical Shias. Let me ask you a question.
Are you going to argue for him?
No.
I would like to.
Ask you one question.
If you want to open another debate on the Baha'is, come forward.
Okay,
I'm happy. I'm happy to engage with you.
Baha'i in a minute.
Okay, we'll come to Baha'is. We'll come to Baha'is and anyone else in the list. Anyone else in the list? We'll come to them. No problem. You see, all of these things, this propaganda. When I challenge you, when you come and stand next to me, you will see you have no legs to stand on.
So are
continue.
You finished? Okay. So what's really, really rich is Adnan accused me of machine gun tactics. I literally responded to points he'd made. So he said Muslims had protected Jews. So I gave examples of how they hadn't. He said, like, literally everything you accused me of, you're guilty of. You went all over.
I'm going to have to get to my phone now.
ISIS, Maimonides, Igeret Tayman, Almohads, literally we went all over the shop, all over the houses.
Now you're in for it, Joseph.
And so what I want to do...
Now you've done it.
So just for people's reference, he raised Maimonides. And we've had... The reason I laughed at when he raised Maimonides... The reason I laughed at why he mentioned Maimonides, he gave Maimonides as an example of somebody who experienced the benevolence of the Ummah, of the Muslims, who experienced the kindness and the protection of the Muslims. When Maimonides is speaking to his own people in the Igeret Teman, in a letter to the Yemenite Jews, the Jews of Yemen, he explicitly states that no people have persecuted us as much as this nation. No people. He also said that I misrepresented history, and that when Jews fled Muslims in Spain, that they fled to other Muslims. I explicitly stated when Jews had no state of their own, when they were persecuted, they had to flee to Christian or Muslim states. It's all on camera. Now, no, you can't. You can wait your turn, sir, and then I can talk to you. But I'm talking to Mr. Rashid at the moment. I know, but no one interrupted here except the brother here. Now I've lost my chain of thought. Thank you. And that's why we don't interrupt. I've completely lost my chain of thought. So I'll bring it back. The reason why it's important to focus on today and the history is that historically, when Jews were persecuted, we would flee to a land, and for a few decades, a few centuries, it might be okay. But then the persecution would increase.
I didn't want to miss it again.
The Jews were slaughtered. Another anti-Semite behind me.
It's good, yeah. Just whip it out, yeah.
Which one?
Are you finished?
No, continue. Sorry, continue. I apologize. That's very impolite of me. Sorry.
And so, historically, Jews had nowhere to flee. We had no state. So when the Almohad slaughtered us, some of them fled to Northern Europe. Some of them fled into Fustat, Egypt, into North Africa, the parts that weren't occupied by the Almohads, to Iraq. So the Jews fled all over, but there was no Jewish state. So they couldn't flee to other Jews. They either fled to Christians or the Muslims, who had laws which discriminated them. What Adnan does not talk about is the condition of those Jews that lived in there. He focuses on the Jews that achieved positions of power, the court Jews, who were very well documented. And the ulema were outraged that these Jews held positions of influence, and they regularly went up against the different caliphs and rebuked them and scolded them for having Jews in positions of authority. But the reason the Jews were in those authorities is exactly for the reason Adnan said. They were skilled in medicine. They were skilled in collecting taxes because they'd done it for the Christians, they'd done it for the Muslims, and they had built up over many years a skill set which benefited these caliphs. It wasn't benevolent for these Jews. Meanwhile, the majority of Jews who lived under these people were persecuted. Do you know that if your synagogue fell into disrepair, you weren't allowed to rebuild it? The Jew was not allowed to rebuild a synagogue if it fell into disrepair in almost every caliphate that stood. Adnan is giving you the absolute perfect example of existence of Jews and Muslims. The reality is the opposite. If you want to know how Jews lived under Islam, you don't listen to Adnan, you listen to the Jews who lived in those times. So if you go to the Cairo Geniza is the most perfect record of what it was like to live as a Jew in these times.
Okay.
Effectively, every letter, every book, anything that was written was preserved and put in this archive, and it was found in the 19th century, opened up, and we can read from Jews what it was like to live under Islam, and they don't paint the same picture as Adnan. They talk about the persecution, the tax has been so high.
Too many topics, Joseph, too many topics.
Okay,
too many topics.
Israel and ISIS.
Okay, no.
Have you noticed the minute I start talking, the minute I start defending my case, he tries to shut it down. I'm saying that Jews were persecuted under Islam. He's saying they're not. When I give evidence of this, he says too many topics.
Okay, to be fair, because Joseph is sorry, ma'am, you were not speaking when he was talking. Ma'am, you were not speaking when he was talking. I know you are upset.
There's a Jewish lady from a Muslim country who's upset, and he's shutting her down.
Okay, wait.
We can speak to a Jewish
Can I speak?
woman.
Yes, thank you.
Talking about occupation.
Can I speak?
We didn't didn't occupy
Can I respond to his points?
anything. We didn't occupy.
Okay.
We just returned how since when Jerusalem was a capital to
Okay.
any Muslim state except the Jewish people.
Can I respond
what
to his
you-
points?
what you
Can I
can't
respond?
do-
No, you're not. I was telling hecklers to go quiet.
Okay.
So you be fair and tell the lady to be quiet so that I can respond to your
So
points.
she will be quiet. So
Okay.
2 minutes, then we'll bring you on camera because you're much better than I am.
Okay.
So just for the record, for everyone who's watching who doesn't know this lady is, this lady was born in a Muslim country.
Which country?
I don't know if you'd like me to say. She speaks perfect Arabic.
Why not? She's in the UK now. She's in.
Yeah, she fled persecution in Islam. From
When?
Islam.
When?
You
When?
speak
When?
to her, speak
When?
to her, speak to her.
I want to know. I want to know. If
I
you
do-
want to discuss this lady specifically, we can bring her over, start discussing her, and then we will see
what did
why
she leave?
her family had to flee a Muslim country and when. What happened? What happened? What happened? Okay.
When you
Can I respond? Can you tell the lady to be silent so that I can respond to your points? Do you want me to respond?
Yes, I do.
Yeah. So can you ask her to be silent? Like I was telling the Muslims to be quiet.
Okay, I'll finish my point. And
Okay.
Then we get on to yours.
So no, you're not gonna make any more points because I need to respond to everything you said. Okay, Maimonides. He mentioned Maimonides. Firstly, a lot of the Jewish migrants to Israel for the last 70 years, they have been brainwashed systematically by the state into hating Islam, Muslims, and the Muslim civilization. You know, if you go to the just like the Shia people, from a very young age, they are conditioned to hate the companions of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Okay, there are many examples I can give. Okay, when you condition children from a very young age, it's very difficult to get them to realize otherwise. Okay, my job here is, as hard as it is to clarify what the reality is. Joseph, people like him, I have no respect for him, even though I treat him respectfully, but I'm making it very
That's
clear.
not very respectful.
No, because I believe he's actually, wait, brother, I'm not attacking him, am I? I'm not attacking him. Okay. I don't respect propagandists and liars and disingenuous people. I don't like disingenuous people. I don't like disingenuous people. So let me clarify. Now you're attacking me from the sides. Don't do that. Okay. So Maimonides, Joseph, what? Are you worried about what I'm gonna say? Then be silent, please. Respectfully, please be silent. Okay. Maimonides. Joseph started with Maimonides. He wrote a letter to the Yemeni Jews. Okay. No.
Not me. You brought him up.
Then you
And I responded to you.
and then you responded with more. Then you responded with more partial history. And that's why I have to expose you that when you tell history, you and your Zionist brothers, when they tell history partially. Okay? Some have now realized that the world is not sleeping anymore. There are scholars who will expose us, and now they are coming out slowly. They're Zionist scholars, and they are speaking the truth. Bernard Lewis, for example, Zionist, died over 90 years old. Considered to be, please.
Primary sources.
Okay, so why is this happening, Joseph, when I'm speaking? When I'm speaking, why is this happening?
I have
You were very upset. When Muslims are heckling you, you were very upset. Yes. So now, just as you expected me to speak to the Muslims, speak to the lady. Okay. So Maimonides was a Jewish rabbi of the topmost status in the Jewish people, among the Jewish people in Spain. And then he migrated to Egypt. He grew up in Egypt. He grew older in Egypt, right? He became the private physician to Sultan. So what happens now this is the full story. What happens? The Jewish people of Yemen write a letter to him. About what? That we are about to become Muslims. Are you listening, everyone? Is everyone listening? This is the context with which my friend probably doesn't know, and if he knows, then he didn't tell you, and ask him why he didn't tell you this. Just like the Almohads. He told you the Jewish people were driven out, didn't tell you where they went. And when I told you where they went and gave you an example, he attacked that example And he said, I mentioned it. And then when he attacked the example, even then he gave you partial history. He said, Maimonides in a letter painted a very grim picture of his experience under Islam. And he's right. Guess what? He's right. This is why I said earlier, I said Maimonides was a liar of top class. For example, let me give an example. Maimonides, who is he? Who is he? He is, no, Musa bin Maimun, but who is he serving?
We're going round.
Who is he serving? Who is he serving? Wait. Who is he serving in Egypt? Sorry? He is the private physician of the Sultan. Wait. He was the private physician of the Sultan. His private doctor. Now, a private doctor for the Sultan, do you think is that a low position or it's a high position in the state? High or low? High or low? Private physician to the Sultan. You have the ear of the Sultan. You can tell him what you want. You can get him to do what you want, right? Now Maimonides, when he receives a letter from Yemeni Jews, what are they asking him? Because he's an authority among the Jewish people. They ask him, we are considering converting to Islam. The Jewish community of Yemen. Why? Because these prophecies in the Old Testament, they list them down. Deuteronomy 18:18. Deuteronomy 33:2. Okay? Then other prophecies in the Old Testament, a list. They present this list to Maimonides and they ask him, oh Rabbi, what is our response to the Muslims on these prophecies? Because they are claiming that Muhammad, their prophet, the Arabian prophet, is foretold in these passages. And we are on the verge of converting to Islam. And some of them are learned Jews in Yemen. So they write to the most learned man in the Jewish world, Maimonides. So what does Maimonides do? In response, now he's a Jewish rabbi, he's the shepherd of the flock. What do you think he's going to do in the letter? Is he going to tell them, go ahead, very well done, go and convert to Islam? Or is he going to dissuade them? Which one is it? Which one is it? If some Muslims come to me, my example, person, I'm no Maimonides, no Imam, no scholar. If they come to me, 10 Muslims here, and they say, you know what, we're having doubts. We want to convert to Christianity. They have shown us how true Christianity is, for example. What am I going to do? As a Muslim da'i, as a Muslim propagandist, let's say, if he wants to call me that, okay? I'll do it for him, right? What do you expect me to do? Tell them, well done, go ahead, baptize yourselves and become Christians. Or I'm going to dissuade them. I'm going to dissuade them. Maimonides, to dissuade this Jewish community of Yemen, he tells them all lies. We suffered under these people. They are the worst people in the world. And when is he writing this? While he is the private physician to the Sultan. He's a private doctor to the Sultan, he's writing this. And then he responds to these passages. All complete spins. Just a quick question, and you don't need to go further. Have you read the letter in detail? All of it. All of it. Have you read his responses to the passages of the Old Testament?
Some of them, yes. I've read the letter, yes.
So he knows about the letter. And he knows why it was written. It was written to dissuade the Jewish community of Yemen from Islam. And for that reason, he did a good job. But he was a liar. He lied to his people. He misrepresented the situation. Now to Cairo Geniza. The Cairo Geniza record. Amazingly, Joseph, I'm sure he doesn't know who studied it. He doesn't know. He mentioned it.
Schechter's the main.
Who?
Schechter. Rabbi Schechter is the main guy.
No. Academically, who published?
Yes, it's Solomon Schechter.
S.D. Goiten.
Yes, Goiten's another.
No. Goiten is the one who published them from the University of Pennsylvania, right? Okay, I have the entire set in my private library.